From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Studying Digital Marketing. In today's show, I have my good friend, Mr. Spencer Forman from me, all the way from Chicago. And Spence and I are going to talk about why both of us have cut back on our social media time and how it's really good for your mental health. So this is one show you don't want to miss. Sit back, relax, enjoy. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I'm with my good friend, Mr. Spencer Forman. Hey Spence, how you doing, man?
Hey, Rob. Always good to see
Yeah,
you. Supporting the
yeah,
clubs.
yes,
I
we
promised I
are.
promised I was going to do the Wayne's World intro because you didn't do
Go
it.
ahead, go ahead.
No, that's Dave from Far North from
Yes,
SCTV.
yes, it
Sorry.
is. And
Yeah.
and it, for those who don't know, Mr. Spence has a Blackhawks jersey on, and at the time of this record, unfortunately for them, they are not in the
They're done.
playoffs. I need
They're
to
way
point that
cooked.
out. And after them giving the Canadians a hard time on Monday, Montreal, I wouldn't say backdoored their way in, played their way in last night. So that is kind of where that has gone. And those who
Exactly.
know, I'm the rogue Canadian fan in the middle of Leaf Nation. So what else is new, right? You know.
Exactly.
Anyway, today we thought we'd do something a little different for you than the typical WordPress chat, business chat. And we talk a little bit about why the two of us have effectively cut down on our social media time. And that's an interesting thought. And it kind of started for me. I got a new Pixel 9 phone about 8 weeks ago. I made a decision not to put on one social media site with the caveat I do get private messages through Beeper on that phone, but anything public I don't get. And it's the best thing I did for the headspace. And Spence, you want to share what you did with social media a little bit and why?
Yeah. I had a meltdown. I the short answer is that I mean, it won't be hard to figure out my feelings about this, but like I allowed myself to get personally involved in things that I have no chance of changing in that method. And the social media amplification system, I allowed into my brain and it worked. It turned me into essentially somebody that I didn't want to be for about a week. And I really was doing it with full knowledge of what I was doing. Like a person who's on a bender, I've never had a problem with alcohol, but like somebody who's like on a bender, they say he doesn't know what he's doing. He does like I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know how to otherwise alleviate what I felt was the wrong committed or the things being said. But at the end of the day, my solution was really quite simple. It was not to pretend that it doesn't exist. It was just to change the way I interacted with it and also kind of have to take a stoic approach on some of these things. Like,
No,
expect somebody's shitting in your coffee and you won't need to respond like that's a surprise. You know.
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, one of the reasons I took it off was I just wanted to be more present and spend time on other things. And I frankly, didn't want the temptation of it being there. So what I found, and I was saying this to my partner the other day, I've been doing more reading again. I like to read anyway. So I find now that I've removed the endless scroll off my phone, I'm probably reading 20 to 30% more at night. So because that's better for you than reading the endless scroll, especially with the state of the world being the way it is right now.
I mean, I had the same results. So I, at one point years ago, tried the experiment of removing apps and changing the screen color and putting
Yeah.
a limit and a timer. What actually worked this time was much more mundane because the consequences of my meltdown were a few trusted friends, including yourself, I spoke with, and some of them publicly, that I was clearly not Spence. You know, I am in this lifetime trying to learn how to be okay with not being in control of everything. And when they held the mirror up to me, it was easier for me to say, listen, I don't want to be that guy. And so what I did was like you did, as I went back to my roots a little bit, and I realized that, yes, I might have to have a presence on social media to share the things that are relevant to my audience for business and otherwise.
Mhm.
But I did two things. First of all, let's talk about the social media that was relevant to me. First of all, Twitter was the worst offender. I'll call it Twitter out of
Oh yeah,
spite.
X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
X.
Yeah.
And the second was Blue Sky didn't bother me, but I never really, I use it, but I wasn't like enamored with it. The third was Facebook. Um, my feeds on YouTube were never a problem because I have such diverse interests. It's like that stuff is how to fix your back and how to do WordPress stuff and like cool ways to,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever, get a haircut. This was more if people kept coming to your door. Twitter's like people keep coming to your door and giving you the finger or, you know, doing bad things to your dog or something. And so I felt like if I don't respond, that's one thing. If I just mute everything that doesn't match, that's a way to tone down the volume. So first step I did was I used the tool that I guess is easy enough that just everything and anybody that was a catchword or that was going to trigger me, even on my side of the fence of the argument, I just said no. And I was
Good.
left with essentially WordPress and technology and entrepreneurial related stuff. And every so often there'll be a thing, crazy video clip. I'd be like, no, can't have that. So if I did need to go there to post my own thing, it wasn't like I was watching a car crash or something that agitated me. And then the second thing was like yourself. I had always been an avid reader growing up, and I really felt that muscle had been lacking because the infinite scroll turns your brain into jello. So I actually took advantage of something I don't think is illegal or immoral. It's called Library Genesis or genesis.lib. I'll get the link here. It's just essentially the entire universe of online books or real books that are available, just like I could do online and check out from my library through Libby, but it's in the iBooks format if I want, EPUB. So I could look at it on, I have an iPhone 13. It's not fancy, but it's a big screen. I could actually consume books and bookmark them. So I have like 6, 7, 8 books. And I'm able to, every time I wanted to doom scroll, I would just open up the book, read 2 or 3 pages. And after a day or a week of doing that, I was cured. And I want to tell you the one consequence, which is, we could talk more about. My biggest problem was anxiety at going to bed, because in order to go to
Oh
bed, you
yeah.
have to have a pattern. And if I was remotely thinking about any of that crazy shit, oh, by the way, one other thing, I use Reddit for things like my back issues, but man, is there a bunch of stuff on Reddit that will put you into an existential spin. So I just said, no
Oh
more
yeah.
Reddit, no more Reddit, no more. Like that's not social. That's just mess my head up.
Oh,
And
it's
that fixed
terrible.
it.
And God forbid you disagree with anybody on these social sites because, and you and I both play in the WordPress space. And I don't know if I've told you this, but it's worth saying. When all the WordPress shenanigans started last September, I was the first to drop 2 podcasts on the shenanigans. And I don't want to get into it. Well,
Yeah.
I managed to get my proverbial butt banned from a few places, which still have not recovered. And then I
Yeah.
decided, after doing what I should do as a responsible podcaster, I'm out of this mess. And
Yeah.
I've got too much going on in our life right now. I got some legal
Doesn't get you
stuff. I
anywhere.
got personal things going on, all kinds of good stuff. And I'm like, need this for my mental health. So I have stayed 100% out of that mess, even on social, because every time I open my mouth, I get dragged back into a conversation that I don't need to be in. And at the end of
That's
the
it.
day, how's that conversation going to benefit you or I or our mental health? It's not, right?
Yeah. Well, I think what helped me, people who knew me and cared about me reminded me. I mean, it wasn't like off my I wasn't around the bend. I was fully aware of what was happening. It was just like arguing with your family members. It's like
Oh yeah.
your mom is obnoxious for some reason. Who knows why? You got to talk. I got to talk to my sister. Like what? What? And she just talks you off a ledge. And so once I got off of it and calmed down a bit, I mean, I kind of see that the problem is that most people who want to do good in the world feel disempowered when the world just has an infinite array of things and people that are outside of their control. That's how I feel. And in doing so, um, the social media and showing that the social media is amplifying things that most people wouldn't come across in their daily life. Like I'm blessed because my town is in good shape. Like the facility are working, everybody's happy, healthy, and my family. Like there's nothing in my immediate world that I need to be worked up over. And I'm
Yeah.
not blinding myself to the reality of the world. And there's incredible injustices historically and especially lately going on. But I can only affect things by one to one. And so, in that context, there will be people with whom I'll have a conversation about the state of the world. But even with my closest colleagues, one of the fellows I go to lunch with every Wednesday, we both decided to stop talking about all this stuff. And
Yep.
it's not a head in the sand. It's this is just going to rile us because I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's this Trump presidency. Like I already had 4 years of Trump and now I get this. And I'm not saying it's because Trump, it could be something else around the world. But I'm just saying all the bad stuff that happens in the world of 8.5 billion people cannot be your concern.
Yeah. Well, we're in the same boat in Canada. We're in the middle of a federal election, which you probably know.
Yeah. Right.
You and I have talked about. Last night was the French language debate on French TV. So they always do one in English, one in French. Ironically enough, they had to move the start time because of a Montreal Canadiens hockey game. And all
Gotta
the
love the
people in Quebec
priorities.
would have, yeah, that is their priorities. You don't understand. So
The
they moved the
national
start.
election will be delayed because the second period is coming up.
Yeah, basically the way that played out. And they made a decision to move it earlier. And there's all kinds of crap going on here. Now, I should say I've already cast my ballot. So I cast it by mail 2 weeks ago as soon as I could. So that's gone. And I've tuned out and beyond some client work. I mean, I've got clients in the political spectrum, but I've basically tuned out. And everybody's like, what's wrong with you? And I said, first of all, my ballot's cast. So anything anybody says doesn't matter to me anymore, like honestly. And second of all, why get upset over something that I can't control anymore? I've made my decision. I've put my decision in, and I've decided if I can't control it, there's no point in getting ticked off. It's not good for me.
The difference when I ask myself what, if any, value there is, and by the way, in the Costco realm, I mean, that thing behind me, besides the IKEA, that's like an 85-inch TV. I think I bought it at Costco for like $400 with Roku built in. Now, I have endless content from all the channels, all the sport, everything,
Yep.
right? Now, I don't prefer to sit there and watch that, but like I have a choice to doom scroll endless people acting in a way other than the golden rule to other humans.
Yep.
Or I am a fan of sports sometimes. I'm a fan of old movies, like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I'm a fan of documentaries. I'm a fan of there's a million things to consume. I can read. I can exercise, do physical fitness, spend time cooking. There's a million things I can do, remembering the days before fucking Twitter. Sorry for swearing, but like I don't remember growing up looking at a device and just with my eyeballs and then hearing people make other people miserable all day long. Like we all lived in a vacuum in our own Mayberries in the day. And this is an intentional thing that we suckered ourselves into believing was good for us because it was portrayed as that. And it turned into an amplification machine for the worst characteristics of human beings individually and as politicians and as other marketers. Like everything gets ruined eventually by somebody taking advantage of it.
One of the rules we have is when we go out as a couple, unless you're showing somebody something on your phone, because that's where we all take our pictures. Let's be fair. I do. or you got to look somebody else up for somebody, those phones stay away
Yeah.
because there's anything that drives me nuts. I walked into a restaurant a couple weeks ago and there were a couple of kids there with their parents. So what are the parents doing? They're out for dinner. They're both looking at their smartphones.
Yeah.
And what do the kids have in their hands? They each have a tablet. And frankly, the problem with that, Spence, is these kids never learn how to socialize in a restaurant. So
And
their
worse.
manners are going to get worse and deplorable. And the parents certainly don't know how to socialize. So why are you out as a family if you're sitting there doom scrolling on your phone? I do not understand.
Yeah. Well, I've seen worse. I mean,
Yeah.
having 3 kids, I know what you're talking about too, but like I've seen worse. The worst was because I'm still of the age and singleness of dating, right? Happily divorced, but dating. And
Yeah.
you go to a restaurant, it's a lovely restaurant. Of course, the phone never comes on. That's rule one. Sitting next to me is a young couple, I don't know, 19, 20, 21. And the two of them are on a date looking at their phones on a
Yep.
date. And I was
I
like,
know. That's
died
my
a
point.
little inside. Like, what the hell is wrong with you two? Like, it was clearly a date. They weren't married. And they're just sitting there looking at their phones. They're sitting at a table at a sushi restaurant. And I was like, this is wrong. And the problem is, we can talk about which various social network, but I'll give an example the other way around. For marketing or selling my products, like I can produce content today that doesn't
Yeah.
require me to interact socially with somebody. I mean, I could, even if I want, turn the comments off, but thankfully nobody's obnoxious too bad on the comments. That's not social media like Twitter and Facebook. Those are designed to annoy. And Reddit accidentally does it because every Tom, Dick, and Harry gives some lunatic opinion about the world is ending tomorrow. But we all have a choice about whether or not that's even of any value because we were sold the idea it's going to be so great to know your neighbors and tell them what you think and everything. But everybody just decided to be anonymous trolls and destroy
Yeah.
the benefit of it.
Yeah. It's
And when you
funny. It's
publish,
funny.
it's not the same thing.
Yeah. It's funny because about a year and a half ago, before I even took the social off my phone, I looked at Facebook and I said, in
Well, because
137 Facebook groups, 137 Spence. And then
that's
I
another
looked at,
conversation too. Like,
oh,
let me say,
we're gonna go there. And then it was like, I don't need to be in any of these. I'm in three now. And I can almost guarantee you the only reason why I'm in three is two are half business related, and one is an old high school alumni group from Le Belle Province, Quebec, that I used to go to and still always stay in touch with people. And I get hell all the time from my family. Why did you stop posting pictures on Facebook? Why don't you do this? Why don't I do that? And I say, you know what, guys? I have a personal website. If you want to see them, go here. Well, we don't want to. Oh, well, not my problem anymore.
sorry, can't
Yeah, that's
can't be
right.
bothered.
That's right.
Well, I think the thing that's most interesting to me is that when I started in WordPress, it was from a social networking point of view because I came from that experiment in the Ning network and I had success in growing my first business with another fellow about aviation. And that still exists today, but it ended up being a Facebook group, trikepilot.com. So it's Trike Pilot Social. It's like 10,000 people. Started in 1999 when it was a Yahoo group. And
Yep.
the bottom line is I ran my social networks, and now the guy who does it for me, kind of because I can't make money from that thing, still has a golden rule slash you have to be yourself, you have to be known who you are, and if you treat everybody with respect, you're going to be fine. That has worked for 10,000 people 20 something years. Now, the groups that get you into trouble, even when the people are on there with their name, there's some people in the WordPress groups, one of the biggest groups around, run by Canadian David McCann.
Yep.
Isn't he
I know
Canadian?
David.
David's a great guy,
No,
very smart.
he's American, David, I think.
Oh, is he? I thought he was from
Yeah.
Canada because he's so
No.
respectful and nice. David is a wonderful gentleman and very smart. There's
Yep.
a couple people in that group, I'm not going to even give a hint, who are in charge of helping with that group, who act like not the golden rule. That's the nicest way I can say it. And
Yep.
they think
Yep.
essentially their shit doesn't smell and that everybody's an idiot but them. Now, that goes both ways because the people who administer, run, or host the social networks or the SaaS companies that do it, if they look down their noses at their users or the customers or whatever, nothing good can come of it. And that's what's happened from my standpoint in the social network realm. Like Facebook, you can say what you want about Zuckerberg, good, bad, or otherwise, but man, oh man, he's been drinking the Kool-Aid lately of like, your data's mine and go screw yourself. And like, but the whole thing was started whatever number of years ago on the premise that we're peace and love and share with your friends and put all your personal stuff. If the people running the site, owners or administrators or helpers to the owner, treat the people there with lack of dignity, humanity, respect, what's the point of anybody sticking around? Like I can get beat up in a lot of ways. I'm not going to come here to get beat up. And I certainly don't want to argue with some numbskull who clearly isn't objective about anything. And if the owner of the site that I'm hanging around with is getting money from using my stuff, but treating me like shit, why would I do that? What logical person would stick around for that?
Oh, I agree. And what people don't realize is a lot of our lives, it's interesting, are pretty routine, right? You get up in the morning, what do? You eat breakfast, you go have a shower, you have a routine. And the problem with social is it only shows typically the best in people and the worst in people, forgetting that a lot of our lives are pretty simple. And that I have a problem with too.
Well, what happens is when you see a successful group, like I can use some of my clients or my own examples. If you have a site that's paid for social networking or somebody has
Yep.
to say yes or no and will, administer it properly. People will be very compliant. They'll be very gracious to their neighbors. Don't be abusive. They'll use the golden rule. That's all that you need to ask of them. When platforms exist, and Twitter is the worst offender, it's fake, it's bots, it's people with made up names, all this antagonistic stuff. It's designed to cause outrage. It is an
Mhm.
outrage engine. That is not
And
what
look
social
who owns it.
networking was supposed to be. It's an outrage
Yeah.
engine. And
Yeah.
why? Because the same reason when they say the crazy stuff on the news channels. I don't watch the news, but if I go to a gym, sometimes I go on Thursdays with my buddy John and we hit the gym and they got the row of TVs. I never watch the news for the same reason because
Yep.
but you see the news and you see 5 network channels all with the same story at the same time on 5 topics. And then some nincompoop comes on that you can tell by the body mechanics. They're riling somebody up with like storm of the century or, oh my God, this thing is kill everybody or, oh my God. And there's some events we talked about before the show that were very distressing about something in the world. And it's like, yes, you want to make sure your family's fine, your friends are fine. But beyond that, like it's somebody pulling the fire alarm on you 24/7. And it's not
Yeah.
good for the human body or the psyche in any way, shape, or form. So why are we even entertaining this anymore? Because people get a dopamine rush from
Yeah.
acting like numbskulls in public, including our fearless leader. I
Yes.
mean,
Oh, we won't talk about him. Oh,
but I'm saying, like, what did anybody hold a mirror up to? Because he's known. The people that do this other stuff, they're always like some panhandle name, it's made up. And then you look at their photos and it's
yeah.
obviously either a bot or some,
Yeah.
even this administrator person. Nobody will show their face, no information about who this guy is, where he's from. I mean, I know it, but it's like, if you're going to act like a dick, don't be such a pussy, to use
Yeah.
a hockey metaphor. Okay. Because if you want to be opinionated, put your name and face on it. That's what I do. Because if I'm going to say something, I damn sure I'm going to stand behind it. And if somebody argues
Me
me
too.
out of it, then argue like a gentle person in public. And I 9 out of 10 times might go, you know what? Robert's right. I was wrong. Give
Yeah.
him a pony. But being a pussy and hiding behind something, by the way, it's hockey talk, so we can talk like we're on Slapshot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide behind some fake moniker with a flag or something or worse, because that's not how human beings work. You're immediately discredited.
Yeah. And hiding behind stuff. And that's the problem with social. Like I was thinking before we did this podcast, Spence, I've been online for a long time.
This is, by the way, the PG/R rated version with Spencer's
Yeah.
zero alcohol beer.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, whatever. The we I've been doing online stuff before the days of social media. So I started on bulletin boards. I did CompuServe back in the day when we had CB channels. I've done it all. I did internet internet relay chat for a long, long time, which was the
Remember
worst of the worst.
IRC? Chirp, chirp.
That's
Chirp, chirp.
exactly.
Chirp,
Yep.
chirp.
Yeah.
Chirp.
And IRC reminds me a lot the way
Yeah.
Facebook has gone. You know, you have people that are nice, and then the crap starts, and then everybody gets dragged into it. Then it's a pile on, and it's like, oh, really? My head can't take this at my age anymore. I'm done.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. So we were talking a little like about sleep and anxiety and stuff.
Yep.
I have a million things that I can use to cause anxiety. I don't even have to reach far for that. I mean, that's just
Me
life.
either.
But what the goal I think most of us want to achieve uh, is to remove as much as that of that anxiety because, you know, whether you use exercise, diet, meditation, relationships, whatever you use to kind of make you focus on what's the whole bigger picture why we're here, it's surely not to sit there and make other human beings' lives miserable. Like that can't
Yep.
possibly be the energy of the universe. So for me, going to bed with like what I call, I forget if it was Jesse Eisenwater, somebody came up with this like the zero regret framework. Like make
Mm.
all your choices based upon will you regret what you're doing later? The more you
Yep.
choose zero regret stuff, the better you're going to sleep, the better you're going to feel, the better you're going to live. And I think that's actually very simple philosophy. I mean, I have a philosophy about how to live. What's happiness? It's Zen Buddhist, but it's not like I'm into the Zen Buddhism. I'm just into the idea. Something to do, someone to love, and something to look forward to. But I think
Yeah.
the thing I wrap that with is use the golden rule. So you have a zero regret framework. Like, don't pick a fight and be a dick with people just to be a dick because that isn't helping you. And I don't even think the energy of the universe works that way because you'll attract other people treating you that way.
Oh, I agree. You and I have talked about this. I try to treat people the way I like to be treated, to be authentic, to be transparent, to be there. Tiz will tell you I always treat people, even with her, I'm very transparent. It's just the way I run my life. And, people need to stop hiding and being the pain in the butt we need.
I,
While we're on it with social, it's worth saying I also removed all the news sites off my phone too, for the exact same reason,
yeah.
because the news is depressing and doomsday
Well,
scrolling there too.
I, I mean, like news, there was a video one time I saw that said it perfectly, like a glass of clear water, glass of muddy
Yep.
water. If you pour, this is your brain, pour the muddy water in, it all becomes muddy. Well, the news, my sister's in media, but the news, advertising in general, is designed to outrage you, titillate you, stir your brain. But the news in particular is to outrage you or cause fear so that you'll come back after the commercial and get more outraged and stick around the whole time. And they say and do stuff that, again, you can conspiracy theory it or whatever, but they really go to a gym and watch 5 network channels all saying the same headlines at the same time. Like the
Yep.
stories go click. And I'm like, ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, CNN, Fox, all doing like 6 stations. Dink, dink. You start to wonder, what is going on? And that's why
Yeah.
if you don't look at it, guess what? Birds are singing, the sky
Yeah.
is sunny. And by the way, I don't want to think for one second that I'm not going to use the publication stuff. So something like I suggested, YouTube, Instagram, even TikTok, if you're publishing content, that
Yeah.
is where you're going to find your customers instead of giving ad dollars to Facebook or to Google or to something. But that's not the same as consuming because you can automatically publish and just the day is great. Here's what I'm teaching you today and never really hear what anybody else has to say negative. So,
Yeah. But the other problem with the news too is, when we were younger, and we're both the same age basically, and I can say that, we trusted news
27.
people. We trusted Barbara Walters. We trusted Dan Rather. We trusted Walter
Cronkite,
Cronkite in
right?
tandem Peter
Maury Safer.
Mansbridge. Yeah. But now, I'm sorry, they have all these young yahoos on to save money because they know news is a dying breed. And in Canada, it's the same thing. All the big anchors are gone, and they've gone to cheaper anchors to save dollars. And they all have opinions, and they're not even reporting the facts anymore. And I know a couple old time reporters. I mean, guys that did stuff in 1968, 69, 70 in my circles, and they're retired. And back then they were reporters. Now, news reporters are opinionists. They don't report, they just enthrall. And
I
that's
mean,
a problem
I think
too.
they're given mostly what to say from the
Yeah.
editorial, and the editorial, I think, I mean, I'd be surprised if it wasn't coming from somewhat of a central source because, I'm not super conspiracy guy or science fiction guy, but I love science fiction. And like anybody
Mm.
who's watched The Matrix or one of those movies, even an
Oh, yeah.
Orwellian movie, you start to say, like The Simpsons, even. You start to go, yeah, I don't want to believe that this stuff could really be happening. But then you see the movies or the books, and you go, that's really parallel. And then you go, like, they're actually trying to either use this script or they're doing the thing that the script talked about. In particular, there's one scene in, I don't know which Matrix, but it's Joe Pentaglione from a million movies, including Guido the Killer Pimp and Risky Business. And he goes, I know this steak isn't real, but I love it
Yeah.
anyway. Like he had full awareness in the metaphor of being in this artificial construct and all the weird shit. But sometimes many of us who are thinking about the world, like you look at the news and you go, there's 10,000 videos showing what happened. And there's a talking head on the news saying the opposite happened. I'm like,
Yeah. So true.
what am I missing? You know?
Yeah. It's true. What I would say is, kind of sum it up is if you limit your social media time, you actually do a lot better, I think, mentally. And I think you and I are point and check on that one. I
Sleeping
know
better.
I do better. Oh, no question. The book before bed is better than
Yeah.
doom scrolling before bed, if you know what I mean, right?
And it's so weird too because I don't mind watching
Mhm.
some kind of relaxing YouTube video. I don't know, some guy fixing cars or cleaning a cow's hoof or something, just not related to news of the day, not related to my health or health problems. Something that I try not to do now. You doze off. But what I've done lately, which is ironically true too, Brian Johnson's big talking about this, but there's a million, Andrew Huber, all these big names talk about sleep
Yeah.
sanitation. You have to really work at it. And I've been okay. Just don't do anything on your phone except maybe an ebook if that's all you do, like within an hour of bed. And then when you get into bed, it's taken me a real effort to do this. Like you just have to do nothing other than put the phone down, turn off the light, be done. And the first couple of times it scared the shit out of me. Anxiety. I couldn't believe how anxious I was.
Yeah.
And then after the fourth, fifth, sixth time, in fact, I would write notes to myself. I'd be like, chill the F out, man. It's going to be cool. You're going to love sleeping. It's great. And then I would just read that the next night. I'd be like, yeah, it was really good. I had a great dream. By the third or fourth night, and now, knock on wood, I'm able to pretty much follow a pattern about an hour before bed. Stop drinking so much liquid so you don't have to get out of bed. Don't consume stuff. Turn the lights a little low. And then just do your routine, brush your teeth, hot shower maybe, go to bed, turn the light off, boom, out like a light. I'm not saying I'm 58. I'm not saying I don't ever wake up in the middle of the night, but maybe once.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I've been able to clock in what for me has been important, the restorative sleep for the physicality and also just for the stress of the world. 6 hours, 7 hours, not hard to get. One time I got close to 8 hours, which my body was like, what's up, dude? But
Yep.
that's the
Yep.
big difference because the whole rest of the day, week, month, and year are better when you're not wound up and filled with adrenaline from the rest
Oh,
of
yeah.
it.
And don't drink that caffeine within a couple hours of bedtime either. Bad
I mean,
idea. Bad.
that's a good point. Be honest. Like depends on your taste, but like I have a big coffee in the morning, like a bulletproof. It's just a Mr. Coffee. It's like 1 3/4 cups, but it's with butter and MCT oil. That kind of lasts me. I drink most of it in the morning. Lasts me maybe till the middle of lunch time. I don't even eat breakfast usually. Now, some people said don't ever have caffeine after 12, but I'm very European-y. And if I take a nap or something, maybe I'll have like a little Nespresso,
Yeah.
but I definitely put a hard stop at like 3 o'clock
Yep.
because the caffeine half-life, I think is like 12 hours or 6 hours. But I'm saying like that made a big difference because I would rather be more tired when the bedtime rolls around and it helps to go to, chill out.
I agree. Hey Spence, thanks for shooting the pool about social media as always. And you'll be back, I'm sure. We just have to find another topic for you to rant on, and
You
you'll
know
be
what
all
would be
set, right?
amazing, because my kids are
Right.
into it. Just to close on that point, like, I don't think anything in the world happens, anything good happens without a catalyst and without friction.
Yeah.
And so, like, when we were younger, we were all going to die at the hands of a nuclear missile from Russia. And then one
Yeah,
day
we were.
it was over. The wall came down, like, boom, overnight. But that wasn't friction that happened in 2 minutes. It was like 30 years of the Cold War, right? And what I think is happening now is that there's evidence in my mind, because I'm a half full person, that we see the consequences of our choices in the 90s or 2000s to go on social
Yep.
media and
Yep.
do all this shit. And our kids are zombies in the phone. And we're starting to hit that, like, the wall is going to come down moment, because
Yep.
we can see, like, who the hell needs this? Let's go back to blog posts and calling people on the telephone or something, because nobody needs this shit
I
except for
so agree
Zuckerberg.
with it. Yeah, that is true. I so agree with you and appreciate you. And we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thanks. This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to Spencer Forman for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.